Items, what's the update on the station measures?
Thanks, Chair. And again, Council report to provide a progress report to members on the station majors project up to the end of April 2017, and the recommendation that members note the report. And I'll keep this relatively brief. The content of the update is contained within, other than to say work has commenced at Prescott. Draw you to attention to paragraph 9, which says all foundations and ground beams have been laid and the concrete slab has now been poured. That's the 26th of April 2017. The chain walls for the approach road are in place and steel work has started to be put in place through the period of May. And we are looking at now a completion date for the new Prescott site, which is, where members will be aware, is a fire station, police station co-located. And that work is looked to be completed in March 2018, and that is on schedule. With regards to Sorgall Massey and the proposals to put plan and application into build a fire station and West Wirral, a revised plan application was submitted to Wirral Metropolitan Borough Council on the 13th of March and formally validated on the 28th of March 17. Part and parcel of that application was sought to redress some of the concerns were raised through the refusal of the initial planning permission, and as a result of that we have reduced the overall size of the fire station by some 30%. By 30% the overall size of the site, the fire station itself by some 10%, and realigned some elements of the building itself so it's considerably smaller. We've also significantly improved some of the layout of the site and landscaping associated with some of the concerns that were raised. That planning submission, we believe, is going to the planning committee on the 22nd of June, where it will be considered, and we will inform members subsequently with options available to us to refer to the Secretary of State if we're unsuccessful through that process. But as members will be aware, we are hopeful that that planning application will be successful and we'll be able to build a new fire station in Sorgall Massey, which will be able to serve as part of the will, which may be affected should we not be able to or be afforded that opportunity. With regards to St Helens, a number of conversations have been had with Pilkingtons who own the site at Canal Street. Subsequently, the site, or the initial site that was proposed to be withdrawn by Pilkingtons. However, Pilkingtons have offered us a further site which is not too far away from the original site at Watson Street. When we've looked at the analysis in regards to our operational response from Watson Street as opposed to Canal Street, it's actually a more preferable base from which to respond. So again, those conversations have been had and discussions are progressing nicely. We've also extended those discussions as part of our collaborative duty to Merseyside Police and North West Ambulance Service, and this was really some conversation with St Helens Council. As a result of those conversations, Merseyside Police have made it clear that they're not necessarily in a position at this moment in time to progress around the collaborative endeavour there. However, North West Ambulance Service has been a little keener, but they have yet to come back to us, and we're expecting a response from them within the next 7 days, where they will potentially seek to put a make-ready facility at St Helens, co-located with Merseyside Fire and Rescue Service. But again, that is yet to be determined. Irrespective of those matters, we will be on site relatively shortly at Watson Street in St Helens to do some basic sampling of the land there to establish any remediation that would be required as part of the build. So again, our relationship with Pilkingtons is very good, with the St Helens Metropolitan Borough Council is very good, and we are keen to progress to build the new station as described with Watson Street in St Helens. Other than that, members will probably the rest of the details contained within the report itself, but I'm happy to take any questions on any particular issues.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, could I just ask Phil about this 30% increase on the Sorgall Massey side of the building? I mean, that's a significant decrease, and yet you've still got to get everything still in there, all the kit and the engines. How's it going to work out practically?
Yeah, it's the overall site has been reduced by 30%, and the station probably by around about 10%, 9-10%. So it is reduced in size. Let's be absolutely clear about that. And some of the training facilities will be compromised as a result of that, as will some of the facilities that were provided for the operational crews. But we're trying to kind of manage the footprint of the building and the aesthetics in relation to the kind of responses that we received from the planning committee, and equally we've took on board some of the kind of recommendations from the planning without preventing it being an operational base from which to function from, but to be reflective of the comments that have been made up until this point, because it's really important for us to get a response base from the Sutherland Massey area into the areas of West Gable and Hoylake.
Just to add to that, like, I too have serious reservations about this. However, I think we shouldn't underestimate the need for this fire station to maintain response times into West Wales. Hence why, against my better judgment, I'm going to ride this, and, which is why we pursued this route instead of making the going straight to the Secretary of State, which would have been the route that we could have taken. But credit to Phil and Colin Schofield, who they have done everything they possibly can do to address those the issues that were raised at the planning committee. But as I say, and I'll say again for the record, I have some quite serious reservations about the extent to which we are compromising